nutrition plays a huge role in your conception. For example, whether it's PCOS, whether it's thyroid, whether it's infertility, it's actually comes down to your nutritional status.
If there is somebody who's trying to conceive a baby, what are the prerequisites, they should really look into?
Don't jump into pregnancy very quickly. So prep your body. You don't give up alcohol and smoking the day you get pregnant, but you do that at least 3 to 5 months before you're planning.
Right age of having children. So I'm not talking in terms of your social or economical condition, rather in terms of your health and well-being.
Yeah, I'm actually quite glad that you asked that question. Problem that we face with fertility is that you are panicking, that you feel like your biological clock is ticking after 35 and you've got to rush. If your mental makeup is good and you're living a good lifestyle, then age is no bar.
So somebody who's having PCOS and trying to conceive, how does it affect their ability to conceive and to fertility?
In a big way, because
अरे deal with it now. अरे सबके साथ होता है, तुम कोई पहली माँ नहीं हो. It's unbelievable that almost every woman has heard these once in their lifetime on their journey to motherhood. And believe me, these aren't just daily soap dialogues. Conversation on pregnancy begin with the baby and end on the baby. पर हम भूल जाते हैं कि birthing is as much about the mother as it is about the baby. In 2024, India's birth rate is projected to be 16.75 births per 1,000 people. इसके बावजूद postpartum is still a taboo in our country, and आज का एपिसोड इसी सवाल के जवाब को ढूंढने की हमारी एक कोशिश है. And it is to understand this that we have Pooja Jaiswal with us today. Pooja is an integrative nutritionist and a holistic solution finder for women's health issues. And of course, she's a Maate herself. Hi Pooja, welcome to Maatehood. It's such a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Priyanka. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I keep seeing a lot of your content and I see that you're a big advocate for women's health. You talk a lot about nutrition. So I would love to know a little bit more about that,
So it basically stems out of my personal experience because after going through a long journey of infertility, when I actually started working on my nutrition and my holistically, I tried to do yoga, pranayam, brought in few of the holistic techniques. I was successful in having my second baby. So that was the shift that happened in my life. And I realized that obviously gynecologists do their part, obviously, but your body needs to be in the right sort of nutritionally it needs to be at an optimal level to be able to conceive. And it's not that once you have passed a certain age, you can't reverse things and, infertility is something that will happen as you start aging. Actually, what I figured out with my journey is that if you look after your health from nutrition standpoint, from a fitness point of view, then you can actually reverse most of these problems. And so once I got successful, I thought I just wanted to make that as my goal, that I wanted to educate more women about women health and how nutrition plays a huge role in your conception or how your hormonal health for that matter. For example, whether it's PCOS, whether it's thyroid, whether it's infertility, it's actually comes down to your nutritional status and how you're keeping your body. And that can then shift a lot of things. And that actually gives more power to the women because now you're not resigning to the fact that I'm aging and that's why, I have to deal with infertility issues and PCOS and things like that. You can actually be on the driver's seat, get yourself educated on how you can make your body better, and then things can start shifting for you.
No, I totally agree. I think women's body is full of mysteries.
Yes.
And every women's body is different.
Yes.
And what is really, really important is the education bit. So knowing your body is the most important thing. And that's the beginning of it all, right? And I think it's just a very beautiful thought that you are sharing your own personal journey with other people and helping them.
Yes.
Some people are going through some similar struggles and they can find some solutions through you.
Yeah. And it was basically not something that I felt that there was a gap. There was a genuine gap in that space. So when I got into the education part of it, and I took my degree and everything, my focus was that I want to just work in women health section. That's my niche. This is what I want to work, because there was a gap.
Yes.
And I just wanted to fill that gap with some good sort of content in that respect, that people can actually educate themselves and then empower themselves with that knowledge.
So what was the degree all about?
So the degree was from UK. It's from College of Naturopathic Medicine. So it was a 3-year course in nutrition. But then once I finished the course, I thought this was just the beginning,
Yes.
because that's when you have just scratched the surface. And then the idea was, with my healing also, I not only brought in the nutrition aspect of it, but I also brought in the yoga and the pranayam and the acupuncture. So I brought in a lot of holistic ways. Yeah. So that's why my approach is quite integrative. So I want to bring in the East and the West, and whatever basically works, So I will latch on to that information, and I will bring that in my core aspect of how I educate my clients. So if it need be, I will tell them, go and get some acupuncture sessions done. If need be, if I feel like there is, psychologically they need a little bit more support, then I will tell them to do certain techniques which can come into the whole consultation. If it is required that, actually all they have is nutritional deficiencies, then I'll bring in the supplementation there. So I try to integrate different techniques and bring that all together so that you can optimize your health.
Okay, very interesting. Since we're talking about conceiving, and on today's episode, I want to talk a lot about prenatal, postnatal, conceiving a baby, adolescent health, menopause. But let's begin with conceiving, basically. I see in today's world, a lot of women are facing fertility issues, and conceiving a baby has become such a big challenge.
Yeah.
What could be the reason behind that? And if there is somebody who's trying to conceive a baby, what are the prerequisites, they should really look into? What are the things they need to do to prep their bodies to conceive a baby?
Yeah. So I like what you said about prepping their body. I think that is the key to it over here.
Yeah.
That sometimes what happens is that we say, okay, we want to have a baby, and you just okay, let's start planning. We fix a date, maybe 2024, 23, and we start working on it. But the preparation bit is something which can actually change the game for you.
Yes.
So if you can assign, because if you look at egg quality or a sperm quality, it takes, so whatever egg that you're producing today actually started getting manufactured 100 days before.
Yeah.
So the quality of the egg today that you have depends on what you were eating 3 months back.
Oh, wow.
So if an egg takes 3 months to mature to that point, then you need at least a minimum of 100 days preparation.
Wow.
So that you can say, okay, this is what I've done with my food, my lifestyle, my sleep, and supplementation. And this is the time that I've given. And then now I'm ready to conceive. So preparation is the key over here, because that can really shift things for you.
Yeah.
Because today, if you want to get pregnant, if you take some test and you have like vitamin D deficiency or a B12 deficiency, or you have a low iron level, then those 3 can be the single most reason why your conception could be an issue.
Yeah.
So then you basically work on that. You take those supplementation when they are required. Don't jump into pregnancy very quickly. So prep your body for at least 3 to 5
very important.
months for both partners. It's required for the husband and the wife. And
that's
you don't
a very
stop.
Good point, actually, that even the husbands need to be
100%,
prepared for the same and focus on their own nutrition.
Absolutely, because again, sperm quality also changes exactly 100 days it takes. So your sperm quality can also change with your nutrition, with your stress levels. It's quite sensitive to stress, and it is quite sensitive to alcohol. So you don't give up alcohol and smoking the day you get pregnant, but you do that at least 3 to 5 months before you're planning. Okay. So that your quality of the egg and sperm improves. And that's when the idea is that the conception should just be a byproduct of your lifestyle. True. It should not be the center point of your agenda, that I want to conceive, and that's why I want to track my ovulation, and then I want to time my intercourse accordingly. No, you take care of your health, you be in a happy space, you take care of your lifestyle. Also reduce your social engagements too much at that time. Go a little bit inward. And then as you start doing that, the conception will just happen as a byproduct of that.
Yeah. So if somebody is trying and they are doing all these prerequisites, they have taken care of these things and still not able to conceive, what do you think are the red flags there, and what are the things they need to get checked?
So technically, from medical standpoint, if you have been trying naturally for 1 year and nothing has happened, then obviously that's when you need to get some checks done. So 1 year is something that on an average any couple will take to conceive, even if they are trying naturally and they're not obviously tracking their ovulation. Naturally, it should take 1 year from the time that you think that you want to plan for a baby. And if for 1 year the conception hasn't happened, then you need a gynecological visit. And then you need to get some tests done. So basic hormonal profile needs to be done. Your metabolic parameters have to be checked. So for example, what are your sugar levels? What is your insulin level? What are your thyroid levels? Then you need to check your vitamin status. So you will be checked on folic acid, B12 levels, magnesium. You will be checked on iron levels, vitamin D and B12. So those will be where you are doing from nutrition standpoint. And then other than that, you also want to check, your cholesterol levels, a basic lipid profile you would get checked. And then you'll do a full panel hormonal profile as well. So your follicle stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone, progesterone, estrogen, all that will get checked. So once you have that information and a proper ultrasound is done, then you'll know that is there a problem that needs to be fixed, or, this is something that can happen naturally. That's the call a gynecologist can take for you.
Sure. If we talk about PCOD, PCOS, let's talk about that first. Like, what exactly does it mean?
So, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So, what happens is that every month when, so you basically, a woman is born with 150 to 200,000 eggs.
Okay.
So a small girl who hits puberty will have 150,000 eggs sitting latent in their ovaries. Every month, once they hit puberty, they'll get a period every week, every month. At that point, what happens is that some of these eggs start to mature, which is what I was talking about, that it takes 100 days for the egg to mature. So for 100 days, it takes for these eggs to become small follicles. And at least 10 on the left ovary and 10 from the right ovary will start to develop. Out of that, one will become an egg. And this egg will then be available for fertilization. If the fertilization doesn't happen, you get the period at the end of the 28 days. So that is a typical cycle that takes place. Now, with what happens with the polycystic ovarian syndrome is that there are too many eggs which are trying to develop. So a lot of follicles are trying to develop into an egg, but there's a phenomena called follicular arrest that takes place. So the follicles are not able to grow beyond a point. So one particular big quality egg doesn't get made. And there are a lot of these small follicles which just sit there trying to grow, and then they sit on your ovaries in a grape-like structure. So when you see it under ultrasound, your ovaries look like polycystic. There are a lot of small cysts which are sitting on these ovaries. So when you see that under an ultrasound, you say you have a polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is basically why you're not making one good quality egg every month. If you don't make that one good quality egg, then what happens is the second half of your cycle gets compromised. So the egg doesn't get released, then the second half gets compromised, and that's why you don't end up getting a period at the end of the month, which basically means that you might have an irregular period. So it will show up, sometimes it won't show up. Sometimes in PCOS, you don't even see your period for 3 to 4 months, 6 months. So that's PCOS, where you're not ovulating every month, and the egg is not getting made every month.
So how do you get it? Is it like by birth, or is it lifestyle? What is the reason?
No, it's not by birth. Some of it is genetic. I would say that, but it's a very tiny percentage. But it's mainly to do with lifestyle. And what happens is that it's mainly driven by insulin levels. So if your lifestyle is that you're eating, too much of refined food and you're not exercising much, then you tend to have high insulin levels in your body. Now, when So insulin levels can rise in a man also and in a woman also, but woman tends to get more affected by high insulin levels because what happens is that when insulin levels are high in your body, you have something called SHBG hormone, sex hormone binding globulin, which actually goes down. This basically is like a carrier of testosterone. So basically women also have testosterone and men also have testosterone. But the free testosterone that is there in a woman's body needs to be carried around in the body with the help of this protein, SHBG.
Okay.
So now with the because of high insulin level, when SHBG protein goes down, you have this testosterone which becomes free.
Yeah.
And it's floating in your body. And high testosterone levels will cause PCOS-like symptoms, which is basically male balding pattern, cystic acne, fatigue, male kind of voice, heavy voice that you get. And that all basically happens because you have free testosterone floating in your body because of insulin. So it is clearly lifestyle related. So if you look after your glucose levels and your insulin levels, then you can control this hormonal havoc that happens in your body.
And at what age you start noticing the symptoms of PCOS?
PCOS can happen as young as, I know cases where it's been in their body since 17, 18, 19, 40s, 50s, till you hit your menopause. Anytime you can actually have PCOS-like symptoms.
So it's even after you become a mother.
Yes,
you may have it. Okay.
Sometimes, in some cases, what happens is that if you have PCOS, but then if you have a child, after that, your PCOS subsides. This happens in some cases.
Okay.
But then because it's insulin related and because insulin and sugar is related to your lifestyle, if your lifestyle goes haywire, then that it can come back again anytime.
So what are the things you need to keep in check to be able to overcome this?
So I think a full panel test every year is very important, and in which basically what you want to test is your insulin fasting figures, your glucose figures. You need to keep a very close eye on those. And then if the figures are higher, then obviously you need to take a help of a nutritionist who can help you with your diet and structure like a diet for you, which is helpful with PCOS. And then you also check your vitamin levels because sometimes I've had one case of PCOS where everything was fine except for her hemoglobin levels. Hemoglobin levels were very, very low, 8, 9 sort of a level. And that was a single most reason why she was diagnosed with PCOS. So something as basic, if that gets missed, can then, become like a full-fledged PCOS situation. Yeah. So nutrient deficiencies is something which plays a paramount role in this. Absolutely critical. Vitamin D, for example, if that is low, that can really cause a lot of fatigue in your body. And then because of that, you are not able to lead a very healthy lifestyle. And then that can then throw you off in terms of your insulin and glucose figures. So some things are like really, really basic. And if you just focus on the basics, things can really work very, very efficiently.
Yeah. So somebody who's having PCOS and trying to conceive, how does it affect their ability to conceive and the fertility?
In a big way, because we are talking about PCOS in which the egg is not, it's either the egg is not releasing, and even if it's releasing, it's not of a great quality. And you need a good quality egg to be releasing every month for you to be able to get pregnant. So in some cases, 30% cases with PCOS also you're able to conceive. Because sometimes, even with that persistent problem, you still are able to make a good quality egg and fertilization happen and, you can get pregnant. But in some cases, you basically will have to work on your PCOS. You make sure that your sugar levels and insulin levels are controlled. And that sometimes can also, the gynecologist can work with you and give you glucose medication. So to control your glucose levels so that when the glucose levels come down, and that's when you're able to produce a good quality egg and then you get pregnant because of that. So PCOS can be one of the biggest reasons why conception can be an issue. And then in that case, some women have to then go for IVF or IUI or other sort of fertility procedures.
Can PCOS lead to high-risk pregnancies?
100%, because what happens with PCOS is that your underlying problem is insulin. Or the underlying problem is that you're not able to manage your glucose levels properly. So your glucose levels in your blood needs to be between 60 to 100. And if your average glucose levels are 120, 130, Now you're going into a pregnancy. Now, when you're going into pregnancy with high glucose levels, then something that can hit you around the second trimester is gestational diabetes, where you become like a full-fledged diabetes actually starts to come into play. As soon as gestational diabetes comes into play, then it automatically makes it into a category of high-risk pregnancy.
Yes.
Because then you have to control the sugar levels throughout. And then because of that, the baby's weight can go up. And because of that, your childbirth can become an issue in terms of like you might have to just go for a C-section because the baby's size is more than required. So all those kind of things come into play if you go into pregnancy with PCOS. My suggestion would be that you work on your PCOS. Like the prep period is what we are talking about. So try to see if you can work on that 3 to 5 months before you conceive. And then when the conception happens, then throughout the 9 months, you make sure that you very watchful and you are under a guidance of a nutritionist who's monitoring your glucose levels and who's giving you a good diet so that can get controlled so that you have less risk of high-risk pregnancy. Yes.
I had gestational diabetes during both my pregnancies, and I was diagnosed with it in week 24. Had no idea what it is all about, because I had no issues of diabetes or insulin, nothing. So it came as a shock. Is there something women can do to prevent it? Or are there certain types of bodies which are more prone to it, or certain people who are more prone to getting it?
So there are two things that are very important during pregnancy which can throw you off. One is your thyroid levels, and the second one is the glucose levels, which basically then you are basically, once they do a glucose tolerance test, I'm sure that is what they would have done with you. Then that's when they come to know that it could be a gestational diabetes. So again, what happens during pregnancy is that the load on your body is 3 to 4 times more on these hormones as compared to when you're not pregnant. So for example, in this first trimester, second trimester, your thyroid has more work to do. And even your insulin levels, and which is a hormone, also needs to work a little harder. So if you do not have good control on your insulin levels and your sugar levels, and it has never been picked up before, it can become a problem because you are now putting 3 to 4 times more burden on it. And that's all it is actually at the end of the day. But then most of the women the diabetes goes away once the child is born. But then what we have seen is that people who have a gestational diabetes during their pregnancy have a higher chance of getting into pre-diabetes and diabetes in the next 3 to 4 years. So this is where they need to be more careful, and they need to make sure that they have a good diet control. And
good to know that, because I was under the impression that it's only during pregnancy and you're not going to get it ever again.
No. And you have a higher chance. And then lifestyle and diet and nutrition, supplementation, right kind of supplementation, and exercise plays a huge role in how you can control that.
I'm happy to know more about it, because as I said, it can be very confusing how to look after your bodies and everything, because there are just so many unknowns.
There are so many unknowns, yes.
Other thing I really want to talk about is, right age of having children. So I'm not talking in terms of your social or economical condition, rather in terms of your health and well-being. So as a woman, we go through so many phases in life, and every age brings different kinds of challenges in our mental and physical well-being. So is there a right age to conceive, and age bracket within which you should be done with your pregnancies?
I'm actually quite glad that you asked that question, because the most problem that we face with fertility is that you are panicking, that you feel like your biological clock is ticking after 35 and you got to rush, which is what I did with myself. So my second child, I conceived my second child at the age of 38. So I was going through the phase of from 35 to 38, I was panicking that, oh no, I got to rush. There's no, I'm running out of time. Now, when I had a successful pregnancy, and I actually worked on my nutrition, and I worked on my supplementation, and I worked on my lifestyle. In fact, what happened was that after my second child was 2 years old, I conceived again naturally,
Yeah.
which was when I was 41.
Yeah.
So that was like a great moment of understanding for me, is that if your mental makeup is good and you're living a good lifestyle,
Yeah.
then age is no bar,
Yeah.
you know. So also reproductive age is very different from chronological age.
Yes.
So you can be a 20-year-old with a very bad lifestyle who can have a reproductive age of a 38-year-old.
Wow.
And a 38-year-old fit person who's looking after the health in a really good way can have a reproductive age of a 28-year-old. So your egg quality can be
Impressive, yeah.
as good as a 28-year-old, which is
Yeah.
what we want to be. So you
So
can
it's all up
reverse.
to you. Yeah.
And the things can be reversed in 3 to 6 months. It's not even a long period of time that you need 2 years to reverse this. You actually can do it within 3 to 4 months.
All with good diet and lifestyle.
100%, 100%. So all that can change. And then if that changes, then if you're looking at, for example, if you hit your puberty when you were 11, add another 30 years to it. So which is basically makes it 41. So you're fully fertile till 41. You will be producing a good quality egg till the age of 41.
Yeah.
After that, it will start declining. But that doesn't mean that you can't get pregnant after 41. It will start declining and you will probably ovulate not every month but intermittently. But till 41, you're fully fertile as you were at the age of 24, 25. So that is something that is really needs to get drilled down in girls, women who are 35 plus, who are now thinking that, oh, I wasted so much time. I focused so much on my career. And I did not focus on this, and look, what all problems. And then the shaming that comes with it, or the family question that comes with it, puts you under a lot of shame, and it also puts a lot of panic in you. And so I do a fertility courses as well on women wellness first, and where we do like a 3-hour class, and we've spent half an hour only on this topic, that there is no clock. You can reverse things in 3 to 6 months. And also, like, for example, if you were going for an IIT exam or an IAS exam, you give 1 year of preparation to get into that. Which is going to then hold valid for you because that's a career that you're going to pursue for the next 20 years. Similarly, a child is also treated like a project. Give yourself 1 year where you are working on your body, on your fitness levels. And then conception can happen on its own because it's an 18-year-old project. It is 18 years of commitment to a baby. So you do not want to go into it unprepared. So prepare for it. Give yourself that time and energy that it needs, and do not panic. You can reverse things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Once you have conceived and you're in the phase of pregnancy now, what is the kind of diet one should follow, and what are the kind of nutritions they should focus on?
So I'll tell you why nutrition plays a huge role, and why it becomes the most critical thing for a woman, is because you must have heard a lot about gut health and microbiome. That you need to
trending word these days.
Most trending word is microbiome. Like, how healthy is your gut? Yeah. Now, gut has a particular microbiome, which is basically a colony of good and bad bacteria that you have in your body. Now, this acts like, it's like almost like a legacy that you're passing on. So your grandmother would have passed it on to your mother would have passed it on to you, and your microbiome would go into your baby. So it's like almost like DNA.
Boy and girl both?
Both, yes. Yeah. So the microbiome basically gets transferred from the mother to the baby.
Okay.
So the quality of microbiome that the mother carries actually goes and determines what the quality of the gut microbiome.
And how about the father?
No, curious. It's only mother.
It's only mother?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll tell you how it works. Is basically when the baby is born, and if it's through a natural birth, what happens is that when the baby is passing out through the vaginal canal, it actually ingests a lot of liquid. This liquid that it ingests in the stomach is the gut microbiome, which is there from the mother, goes into the baby's mouth, goes straight into the stomach. The stomach, when the baby is born, is like a perforated, leaky gut. And when that microbiome enters, it basically plugs those holes. And the baby's stomach becomes a full-fledged stomach after that.
This is magical.
So this is how critical that gut microbiome is, that of your mother, which you're passing on to your baby.
Wow.
So you have 3 opportunities through which you pass on your gut microbiome to your baby.
See, I'm a mother of 2 and I myself had no idea about it.
Yeah. So the first opportunity is natural birth, whereas the ingestion will take place. And it actually works like a vaccination. So it's like the first inoculation that you do to your baby.
Okay.
So it basically works like a vaccination, and it protects you from diseases. They have better immunity and everything because of the gut microbiome that gets passed on from the mother to the baby.
Yeah.
That's the first time. The second way in which you pass on your gut microbiome is through breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So throughout the breastfeeding period, you are actually passing your good gut microbiome to the baby. And that's why the nutrition makes, even when you're breastfeeding, what you're eating, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And the third opportunity is through contact. So when you hug your baby, when you touch your baby, all this, the microbiome that is there on your skin is getting passed on to your baby, and baby is becoming more stronger and stronger.
And that's throughout life, or
in the first couple of years?
Okay.
In first couple of years. So that's why your gut microbiome becomes really key. And how do you make your gut microbiome stronger is by making sure you're eating healthy food, good food.
Oh, I wish I had known this before.
Yeah, I wish I knew it before.
This is so important.
Yeah.
And why we don't talk about it. Nobody explained this.
Yeah, but then you also still can, the baby still, like I can build my microbiome from today and build a better microbiome in the next couple of years. So the baby can, even if your child is 4, you can still instill, by food and by the principles that you are using when you are pregnant, the same principles you can use with your child, and the child will end up having a good microbiome so that your girl can pass it on to her baby when she is big. Yeah. So that's why the food becomes really important, and there are a few principles that you have to follow. So you don't have to follow principles which are like, oh, I need to eat this, I need to eat this or not eat that. There are basic principles that you can follow, which is basically, one is that you need to have some probiotic, some form of probiotic in your diet on every single day.
Yeah.
It can be a buttermilk, that dahi which is set at home, which has the live bacteria. The dahi that you buy from outside, it's denatured, so you don't have the live bacteria in it. So you make the dahi at home and you make a buttermilk out of it, and you consume it on a daily basis. Something as simple as that can take care of your probiotic requirement. Other than that, the achar, the pickles that you make at home or the chutneys that you make at home, they are rich in probiotics as well. So you can consume that. You can also eat fermented foods like idli, dosa, things like that, which have little fermented activity in them. So that will make sure that you have enough probiotics going in your body. So that's one aspect, which is probiotic. But then there is an aspect of prebiotic.
Yeah.
So the good bacteria that is living in your stomach also needs food all the time. So what is the food that you are feeding it? So it feeds on fiber. It feeds on grains. It feeds on nuts and seeds. So the more diverse your food is going to be, the more diverse your microbiome is going to be. So if you're eating similar kind of food, so one dal and, like for example, a standard American diet is very, it's not very diverse. You're eating similar kind of food, and you eat the potatoes, you eat the crispy, you eat the meat, and you eat the bread, and one after the other. That's it. But if you see the Indian variety of vegetables that we have, the variety of fruits that we have, the variety of grains that we have. You just introduce all types of grains in your diet. So every day a different grain comes in. So basically bajra, sometimes jowar, sometimes wheat, sometimes rice, red rice. Then dal wise also you can do different dals, different types of dals. You can do different types of fruits. You can do different types of vegetables. Now, which fruit to eat, what fruit to eat, just go seasonal. Whatever is in season will sit with your microbiome really well, because microbiome is continuously interacting with the nature. So whatever is there in the nature, if you're going to take it in, it's going to very nicely digest it, assimilate it, and that will stay in your body for longer. So just follow that basic principle and eat a diverse diet. So eat different types of foods. You don't have to just focus on one macronutrient like a protein or a fat or a carb. Just go diverse in terms of whatever you are eating.
Unfortunately, there are also a lot of misconceptions in terms of mooli nahi khana, baby will not have good hair, and coconut, if you eat, baby will be very fair. And dates खाने से बाल बहुत अच्छे हो जाते हैं and all that. Is there any such thing?
So if you look at coconut now, coconut is one of the superfoods being declared by the scientific world now. Yeah, it has the medium chain triglycerides, MCTs, which are very good for your body. So yeah, coconut you can't go wrong with. And I think everything is coming back to turmeric, coconut.
But does it really work in such a way that you can define the hair and the color and skin texture of a baby by your diet?
Not necessarily, but I think it's mainly to do with the with superfood quality that they have in them, which are great for your gut, and that then can work very well for you. So I think not going by genetically, they will look like parents only. They'll take the DNA, but I don't know if there's any validity to that अगर आप केसर का दूध पिएंगे तो आपका बच्चा गोरा होगा ऐसा कुछ तो I don't think so. But केसर, for example, is a great antidepressant. So the mood swings that a woman has after the baby is born, and that's why kesar is given, because kesar traditionally is introduced during pregnancy and post-pregnancy, not because of the color of the baby, but because for the mood enhancer that it is. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, it's being used as a supplement for people who have depression. So it's a supplement that's given before they move on to antidepressant medication. They are given saffron supplementation. So, and they see a big change. So it is something that works excellently well on your mood.
How much should you consume it?
So saffron, just naturally 2 to 3 strands. You can, one of the great ways in which you can incorporate this is to just have kesar milk every night, because milk is very good for women in the 3rd trimester, because it produces more milk. More milk means more milk production. So if you consume more milk, that helps. So you can just infuse your milk with kesar and you can have that. And that's a very easy way to take it. So the way we used to consume kesar, if you see it, they will always soak it or they will always infuse it in something, because then it becomes more bioavailable and then it gets absorbed by the system better. So instead of reaching out to a supplement of saffron, if you just infuse it in your food indirectly,
it can be throughout the year or certain seasons only.
It's a little, basically kesar is one food which is very highly recommended for fertility. Okay. So it can be taken as long as you're soaking it and you are infusing it in milk, then that should be fine.
Okay. So to summarize it, if I were to ask you, tell me 5 foods which are must have during pregnancy.
So one would be ghee. Ghee is very good because of its omega-3. It's very rich in omega-3 and vitamin D and K as well. So you get the A, D, E, K out of ghee. And that's why it's highly recommended for women, even after postpartum, for your mood, that, you see a lot of women suffering from depression. Yeah. Omega-3 actually really helps. So obviously, in the West, omega-3 supplementation is given in the 3rd trimester, but that can very much be replaced by ghee consumption. Okay. So you can take ghee and actually bypass omega-3 supplementation. But if you're not taking ghee, then I would say take omega-3 supplement for sure. Okay. The second thing would be coconut, simply because of the rich,
So eating coconut or drinking coconut water?
Coconut in all forms. Okay. So you can do dry coconut, you can do fresh coconut, you can do coconut water, you can do coconut cream, you can do coconut milk. Okay. Whichever form you want to take it. The third would be almonds. Almonds are a very good source of magnesium. So that is what you would need throughout your pregnancy as well. Always soak them overnight so that you are removing the phytic acid in them. And
what is the ideal quantity?
5 to 10. Okay. Yeah. You can also, if it's suiting you, then you can also go up to 20 a day. Sure. But if it's suiting you, then you can do that. But you always soak them, you peel them, and then you consume them that way. So that's third. Fourth is kesar. Yeah. And the fifth would be warm milk, because milk is something which in Ayurveda they say that you have 7 layers of tissues, and you have tissues, you have muscle, you have bones, you have so there are basically the nutrition goes from first to the blood and then to the cells. So there's like a particular method in which it goes, and they say that milk is one product which actually nourishes all the 7 levels in one go. Yeah. So warm milk will really help you as well.
Cow milk, buffalo milk, any recommendation?
A2 cow milk.
Okay.
Yeah, which is the local cow, which has a different kind of protein. So A1 cow is the Jersey cow, that is the Western big size cow, which gives 40 liters of milk. And then there is A2 cow, which is a local Indianized version of that, which is basically a double humped cow. And that produces the protein that is there in it is A2. And it is basically more bioavailable, more digestible. And it seems to work well with, even if you have lactose intolerance, there are some people who do well with A2 cow milk. Okay. So A2 cow would be the safest.
How about for children? Is that the ideal milk?
Ideal one, yes, as well. Yeah, easily available in India.
Okay. Also, I would love to know, what are the 5 food items which are must avoid during pregnancy?
Yeah. So I would say seed oils. Seed oils would be basically refined oil, which is what if you order food from Zomato, they will not be able to compromise on the quality of the ingredients that are using. The only place where they can compromise is oil, because you can't make out the taste. So their refined oil that they cook their food is basically 1 liter, which is for 100 rupees. So that's how cheap it is. And it is highly toxic and highly, it's quite unstable at high temperature. And most of the food that you order from outside will be cooked at high temperature. So it is it's not one of the great things to have during pregnancy. The second,
so avoid outside food, basically.
Yeah. You can cook the same thing at home. Yeah. So if you feel like having, for example, a Thai curry or a Chinese or whatever, you make it at home and make it with good ingredients. It will be much better for you.
Okay.
The second thing would be palm oil. Palm oil, which is there in Nutella. Or all the junk food. So, if you turn the packet and you'll see that the packaged foods, most of the chips and Nutella and all these chocolates will have palm oil ingredient in it. So palm oil is actually highly toxic for you. So you should avoid that. So try to make it as a project that for the 9 months you would actually be eating for your microbiome. So you don't want to be incorporating things which are harmful for you. So seed oils and palm oil, these are the main ones. And also the ingredients that you can't make sense of. If you look at a packet and there are like 10 different labels on it with different ingredients with green, blue labels, and you can't understand it, just avoid it. You can't go wrong with it. You don't have to make a choice and Google which one is good for me, which one is bad for me, just avoid it. I think that would be the safest way to do it. So you can make a millet cookie at home. You can bake at home. You can make your cakes at home if you feel like having something sweet, and enjoy it. There's no problem. But when you will make it, the sensory, satisfaction that you get out of it, of making and mixing things and baking it. And the other thing is, when you put the sugar in it, you'll see actually how much sugar and butter is going in it. Then you become more mindful of, I want to have 1 piece rather than 2. And whether it comes from outside, you have no understanding of what has gone in it. And then you're just signing up to the cravings.
Sure. Are there any more food items?
Other than that,
I think I also read about raw fish, raw eggs.
Yes, So again, in the first trimester, you have to be a little careful, because you're still going through. 12 week is a critical milestone that you want to reach. So before that, you want to avoid pineapple, papaya. Traditionally, that is something that has always been told that you should not consume. And again, you have to be careful with fish. And you also have to, so fish is one of the main ones that you have to avoid.
Okay. Now, one of the very, I think, key question, and there's a lot of debate about it, is the right delivery. Is it either the natural or C-section? And if you have a choice as a mother, what should you go for?
So I'll tell you, from my experience, my first one was a natural birth. And my second one was a C-section. However, my natural birth was more painful and more, I had more problems in my first pregnancy than in the second one. And the reason for that was the lack of knowledge. So I did not know what was coming my way in my first pregnancy. In the second pregnancy, you're more prepared of what's coming. So you're a little bit more, you have more control.
Absolutely.
So I don't know whether you can pick one. My recovery with my C-section was much better. With my first one, I had proper postpartum depression. So, so...
that could also have something to do with first delivery and
second. Yes. So... as if you know what you know,
What
if
to expect.
what to
Yeah.
expect, and
Yeah.
if you're prepping yourself well, even C-section can be quite a smooth sail, or the natural birth can also become very painful if you're not going into it well prepared. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick one to the other. It depends on the circumstances.
True.
Your gynecologist is the best one to
Yeah.
take that call for you. You will prepare your best, obviously, to make sure that you don't have the complications. But last minute, what happens? We don't know.
Yeah.
If there are complications, then obviously the priority is the baby's health.
Of
You
course.
cannot compromise on that.
Of
So you
course.
should not have that mental block in your head.
Yeah.
I want to do just natural birth and I will not sign up for a C-section,
Yeah,
come what
yeah.
may. Don't block yourself like that, because just go with the flow. Whatever has to happen will happen. And a little bit of surrender is required at that point, because there are few things at the end of it which are not in your hand.
True.
So you got to surrender and see that you can prep,
Yeah.
as much as possible till the 9 month. But last minute, what happens? You just have to surrender at that point and not have that block in your head.
Yeah. Is there a way you can prep your body for natural birth through lifestyle or diet?
Yes, I think the best way to do that would be that you yoga and more pelvic opening asanas that you can do in the second and the third trimester can really help. Staying active, getting up from the floor or without support and things like that, if you can practice that.
Yeah.
Squatting, and doing more household work, and being active throughout the day can really help.
Yeah.
Obviously, prenatal yoga helps a lot. Right kind of breathing exercises, if you can. Pranayam is like the best friend for a woman during pregnancy. So if you can just keep doing Anulom Vilom and Brahmari Pranayam, and all those things can play a huge role in giving you the right environment inside, which can then help you for a natural birth.
What are the main hormonal changes a woman goes through during the pregnancy?
So, so in the first 3 months, what happens is that the body is quite intelligent. As soon as you conceive,
Yeah.
it kills your appetite.
Okay,
Yeah.
I felt the other way around.
Yeah, most of them will feel like not eating anything. There is an aversion to food, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
eat this. You are averse to a certain kind of smell. You don't want to eat this. You don't want to eat that. And that basically happens because it wants to suppress your digestion. It wants to suppress your digestion so that it can, divert all that energy towards embryo growth. It also will make you feel a little bit more fatigued out, and you'll be more tired during the first 12 weeks, because it wants you to sleep more so that it can again divert that energy towards the embryo growth. So that is the reason why you want to support that process. So if you don't feel like eating, don't eat, because you're sign in to the body. Body is giving you certain clues, so just follow those clues.
Yeah.
And sleep an extra hour if you want to. Take more rest. The more rest you're going to take, the more the baby is going to develop better in the first 12 weeks. So the first critical milestone is obviously the 12 weeks.
Yes.
This is when the body is actually still dependent on your progesterone, local production of progesterone. After 12 weeks, the progesterone production gets taken over by the placenta.
Okay.
This is when your appetite comes back. You feel more energetic. You feel like going out. You become more extrovert, and you want to like reach out to people, have more social engagement. Energy levels are really high. You want to eat, and you want to like experiment with different kinds of food. You have cravings that you want. You feel that pampering that's needed. So second trimester is actually one of the best phases of any mother. And this is when the placenta takes over. So obviously the progesterone gets produced, and then there is a rush of progesterone in your body. So there's a lot. Progesterone means progestation. It's a hormone which helps with gestation. Okay. So you need a lot of progesterone at that time. So there's a more of progesterone in your body at that time.
Yeah.
And then once the baby gets born, then that progesterone shrinks because you don't need it any longer. And then prolactin levels go up, which is prolactation.
Yeah.
So that is what you need in your body more after pregnancy is done. So second trimester and third trimester are mainly predominated by progesterone.
Okay. And after you have given birth, what are the kind of hormonal changes you can expect?
So you basically, once the baby is born, then progesterone tanks. Now progesterone is the calming hormone, is the happy hormone, which makes you feel very happy, elevated, and all buzzing and happy. And when that tanks, that's when you see a lot of mood changes in women, because progesterone is tanking now. So you feel very low after the baby is born. In the next 2 to 3 months, you will see that there will be, you need to protect your brain a lot at that time, because your progesterone is tanking at that time. So you need a lot of support with nutrition, with your lifestyle. And you also, basically there are 3 phases in woman's life where actually there are structural changes that happen in your brain. One is puberty. Second is when you have a baby, post-pregnancy. Once the baby is out, that time you have structural changes in your brain. And the third phase is during menopause. So structurally your brain becomes different. And that's why
I recently read about it actually.
So that's why they say it's a mommy brain. There's a term called mommy brain.
And it's a real
forgetful
thing.
It's a real thing. It's a forgetful brain. Your brain is not that sharp. You're not forgetting things.
I still feel it.
Sometimes. So that basically, what you need to remember at that phase of your life is that you need to protect your brain. Your focus should not be weight reduction. Oh, I've put on so much weight, how I'm going to lose it. No, this is a structural change that is happening in your brain. You got to protect your brain at that time. And that's why, traditionally, Ayurvedically, there's a lot of ghee that goes in your diet. There's a lot of methi, fenugreek seeds, which are good for your brain, which goes into your diet. They also want you to protect you from a lot of exposure to outside. You want to stay more indoors in the first 40 days. That is mainly because when the baby is born, 3.5 kgs of baby goes out, 3.5 liters of water goes out, half a kilo of placenta goes out. So there's almost like 6-7 kgs of things which go out of your system. And suddenly there's a vacuum that gets created in your body, and that can get filled up with the air element, which is called the vata element. So there's more vata in your body. Now, vata has a particular quality of movement, which can cause brain fog, which can cause a lot of anxiety or depression, because it's just, you feel very spacey because that air has entered. So you want to protect that air element from entering in your body. So there are certain procedures that you do for that. One is massaging, which is very, very critical post-natal care. It's very important because it grounds you. It reduces the vata element. The second thing that can help is tying like a belt around your tummy, so that the air doesn't go in different parts of your body, and it kind of starts to go down. And the third thing you would want to do is cover your ears, and you also want to use like little oil in your nasya oil in your nostrils, and you want to also put like eardrops, some oil in your ears, so that you can, basically plugging those places from where air can enter. Because a lot of women also face weak eyesight after pregnancy. That's obviously your eye is a part of your brain. So if your brain health is structurally changing, you can see a change in your eyesight as well. So protection of your eye health, your brain health, your ear health becomes really important. So you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself in the first 40 days with the right kind of diet. You don't want to engage too much, talk too much, because that can take a lot of brain energy. So you want to go more inwards at that time.
So there's a whole science behind this
Absolutely.
all. Because I remember my mom telling me when I gave birth to my first one, she was like, you cannot go out for 45 days, keep your head covered, your ears covered, close your eyes, just rest and everything. And I used to be like, what is the science behind it? Why are you telling me all this? And she even mentioned like drinking limited water in one go.
Very important.
But I think knowing the basics and the reasons behind it is very
This is
important.
all to protect your brain. Because your baby is going to get born and raised and well, but your brain is going to remain with you till you're 70, 80, and you want a good brain health. So structurally, if there's a change that's happening in your brain, you want to protect it by all means. So whether it's omega-3 supplementation, whether it's a Kesar supplement you want to take, or you want to, cover your ears, whatever it takes, you want to protect the brain. You want to eat the right kind of foods. I remember in my first pregnancy, my mom-in-law would be like, "Aa jao, TV dekh lo thodi der." And when I would go out, it used to, when you go to like a club and you sometimes feel like spaced out with a lot of lights. That kind of feeling I used to get, like, there's some sort of very uncomfortable feeling in my brain when I was watching TV. So I was like, no, I don't want to watch TV. I just want to go home, inside, and I'll just take rest. Now I understand that it was basically a lot of, stimulation that was happening in my ears, and my brain was, जिसे हम कहते हैं,
not adjusting to it.
कच्चा, my mom used to always say, कच्चा शरीर है, कच्चा शरीर है.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is basically because it's very vulnerable at that point, and it is quite moldable. So you can mold it in a good way, or you can mold it in a bad way. So you have this window of, it is an opportunity for you. Actually, a lot of women will say to you that before pregnancy I had constipation, after pregnancy it's completely fine. So there are few things which some disease that you've been carrying with you for many months.
Yeah.
If postpartum care is a window in which you can actually get rid of most of your diseases, if you take care of yourself properly.
Yeah.
And mold yourself like that.
Yeah.
And so food, nutrition, sleep, protecting your brain becomes really, really critical in those 40 days.
Yeah.
And if you do that, in the after 40 days, you can come out shining like anything. Because you can recover and you'll be like, wow, like what happened?
I remember my mother used to tell me, like, if you're not taking care of your body during this phase, then it
can
will
really
negatively
stay with you.
Affect you throughout your life.
Yeah. So with the first pregnancy, I did that. I did not listen to my mom.
So listen to your moms, everybody. Please listen to your moms.
I did not listen to my mom. I used to hate ghee. I did not have ghee. I did not have the laddus. I did not do massage. And with the second child, I had a japa. And I said, give me japa food. I'll have that. Give me the laddus. I want the ghee. Because I had a backache issue post my first pregnancy, which corrected after second pregnancy, by the way. So, all that thing that I was carrying kind of got corrected after the second pregnancy, because I really took care of myself. I was like, this is really critical and I really want to, pay attention. The second thing I did was I paid attention to my sleep. Sleep deprivation is one of the biggest reason why women can actually get a postnatal depression, like a proper postpartum depression. This is because you don't get the recovery time. And again, if your brain is changing, then you need more sleep. So I think prioritizing your sleep becomes absolutely critical. And I did not know that. So I was just going with the flow that, okay, if the baby is sleeping, I'll sleep and I'll get up and I did not ask for help. I don't know why.
No.
So with the second baby, I asked for help. I said, I want help. I want a japa. I want someone who can take care of the baby while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And my second time, my recovery was much, much, much more better. Although I was much older.
Yeah.
But my recovery was better because I took care of these aspects.
I think it's very like this natural inclination of, right after giving birth, you want to be back on your toes.
Yes.
Want to be back in shape. You want to go to office, meet your friends, step out, eat outside. You just have this, I don't know, the urge or urgency of doing things the way you used to do before you conceived, right?
Yes.
I feel sometimes we're very harsh on ourselves without realizing.
100%.
And I don't know what is the point to prove there, but it's very important for us women to be really kind to our bodies and mind during that phase. And
absolutely,
I would just tell this to every woman out there, every new mom, please look after your bodies and your mind, because
100%.
This is a very, very crucial phase of your life.
This is very critical. And, when you are 75, 80, you want your brain to be ticking.
Yeah.
And this is the time that you can actually take care of it. And if you take care of it, it will stay, you will have a good brain health at the age of 75, 80. So weight loss can happen anytime.
Exactly.
So 9 months is what you took to become that size.
Yeah.
So give yourself 9 months.
Yeah.
Your body did not become this size in one day. It took 9 months.
Yeah.
So give yourself minimum 9 months before you go back to that shape.
True.
For first 3 months, don't exercise. You just follow your normal diet. In fact, after 6 weeks, you actually put on a little bit more weight. Although you're breastfeeding and everything, you still put on this natural body, actually put on more weight. And then you look like, oh my God, what's happening? Like maybe I'm eating too much and that's why I'm putting on weight. Let me reduce or do something about it. No. You don't have to do anything for the first 3 months. Let the body follow its natural rhythm.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months, you can go for your exercises. Mild walks, yoga, pranayam, and then gradually after 9 months go into your intense exercises. And the body will give you better results that way, rather than pushing yourself in 3 months time that I've got to get back and let me just start exercising. That might backfire in the long run. So it's very important that weight loss happens in exactly the way you put on the weight, which is 9 months.
Yes. So give your body its own time to, really recover and heal first, and then.
And breastfeeding is great way to lose weight.
Exactly.
Like, if you breastfeed your baby for a year, you will be burning that many extra calories. You make sure that you are eating the right kind of food, which is giving you the ghee and the milk and the almonds and the nuts and the seeds and the porridge, so that your body becomes stronger, and so that the quality of the milk is good as well.
Yeah.
And then as you will be breastfeeding and the more and more milk will get produced as the baby gets bigger, the requirement gets higher.
Yeah.
You will be burning a lot of calories in a day.
Yeah.
And you will be naturally losing the weight.
True. Talking about postpartum depression, I think the mental health during that phase is very crucial, very important to be taken care of.
Yes.
But first is acknowledging that you're going through something like that.
Yes.
And secondly, it's not something you can deal with on your own. You need support of your family and partners. A lot of women end up going through even worse situations because their postpartum depression is not being recognized.
Yes.
And then it leads to a lot more fights and arguments. And I think it is further affecting their mental health.
Yes.
So how should they tackle this? And
so first 3 months, I would say, because there's a lot of focus in, I want the best picture for my baby, or I want the best cot for my baby, or I want the best, you want to best for your baby.
And I want to be the best mom.
Yeah, and I want to be the best mom, and I want to look like the best mom.
Yeah.
And then perfection can really take a toll on you.
Yeah.
But what you at that time need is a little bit more money. If you can spend a little bit more money on your japa and your, maybe
somebody to look after you.
Yes. You can't rely only on your mother-in-laws and your mothers and your husband to do that, because they also have a full-fledged life which runs around them. So you want a dedicated person at that time who can actually, jointly raise the baby for first 3 months. I'm not saying it for the rest of the time, but first 3 months you need support. True. And even if it takes a little bit hit on your pocket, I would say still do it, because you need that sleep in the night, and you need japas who are actually experts in cooking the right food for you. So they are experienced. They know how to massage you and the baby as well.
Yeah.
They know the full postpartum care for you. They will make the right porridge for you. They'll make the ajwain water for you.
Yeah.
They will also stay awake in the night when the baby, you want to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think that support, I don't think so you can exchange that with anything else.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest and most important investments that you can do. If you can't invest in like a professional japa, then at least get some help who has only this job that is basically, it's not given
only
any other jobs, so that they are not tired and sleeping in the night. But
can
their
be
job
your mom,
is to,
your mother-in-law, or even any family member.
Any family member who wants to step in can do that for you.
But only prioritizing
ask for
your
help.
health.
Please ask for help.
Yes.
Ask.
Yes.
I'm struggling.
And don't rush.
Don't rush.
Yeah.
This will go.
That's the worst mistake we make, I feel.
Yes. I think after 3 months, you would also know that things really become so breezy, right?
Yes.
After the 3 months, I don't know what clicks. The baby's sleeping on time. It's taking the 6 hours sleep, and you are able to sleep well. There's bonding happening, because for the first, I think, few weeks, baby does not even respond to you.
No.
So, so that response when starts coming in, then, it makes it more fulfilling at that point. So take your time, no problem.
See, undoubtedly, it's one of the most overwhelming experiences which you go through, and nobody can prepare you for this.
No, nobody.
But as we were just talking before we started this conversation, is educate yourself.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And if you educate yourself about all the kind of changes your body is going to go through, the phases, physically, mentally, emotionally, then I think you're in a good space.
Yes, I think educating yourself, and also letting other people around you know that, I will need your help. Like, just prep them that, I would need you, mom. I would need you. You can have a conversation with the mother-in-law that I need you more at that time.
Yeah.
Can you take some break, or the paternity leave can come in, the maternity leave and all that. So unfortunately, husbands are a bit clueless at this point, because of it's not that they don't want to help. It's just that they do not understand what's going on with you.
Going on.
So do not expect too much from your husbands will actually set the expectation right, because wahan pe, when you actually expect a lot and the help doesn't come, you feel very, very disappointed. But I think mother-in-laws and mothers would, because they've gone through the same experience, would be better people who would understand, what you're going through.
I remember my mom telling me in the olden times, husbands were not even allowed anywhere close in first 40 days.
Yeah.
So I know what
but we are expecting that, the husband should be like clued on and be there for you from the day when not required. It'll come because, babies born with mothers and husband and fathers in a very different way. So the science says that when there's oxytocin that gets released when there's bonding that takes place between a parent and a child, right? So for mothers, when they are bonding and loving and touching their babies, that's when the oxytocin gets released. Whereas for fathers, the oxytocin gets released when they play with them.
They start interacting.
Yes.
So after a few months.
So after a few months, when they start playing with them, that's where the real bonding will take place.
Yeah. And we can also recognize that, right, with our children.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just keep staring at him and they're like, who's this person?
Yeah, exactly. What am I going to do with this life? Yeah. What do I do?
And with the first one, they are so scared to even hold them.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
And I was like,
they're a bit overwhelmed, poor guys. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about taking care of your bodies after delivery, what are the things you must include in your diet post-delivery, especially in first few weeks post-delivery, I would say?
So there's this huge problem of bloating and gas that the baby faces if you are not eating properly, right? So you have to be very careful that you're not eating anything that is high in sulfur and produces a lot of gas, like cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli and things like that. And you don't want to eat too much of protein, which actually can be quite gassy, and can dals, like very, very dals which are very hard to digest, like chana and things like that. So you want to eat foods which are very easy to digest. So you want to do more moong dal, or you want to do like mainly moong dal. I think that's the safest one. You want to do more watery vegetables, so you want to do more lauki and tinda and turi and things like that, which are
somehow
made
they become your favorite after you become a mom.
Actually, yes. So more watery vegetables with less of garlic, something which basically garlic actually goes into the breast milk very quickly. So the babies can find the odor very, very pungent. So you have to avoid onion and garlic and more tomato based and simple gravies. And then if you are looking at more milk production, then you want to do more porridge. Porridge are like great for milk production. So you want to do more porridge, you want to do more ghee, you want to do more milk. You also can do, if you can avoid regular water and just do like a CCF, ajwain water or something. So don't drink plain water, just drink ajwain water. That will help in producing more milk and also releasing the gas, and also that bloatiness or the vata element that is there in your body, that will get reduced. And you want to also, obviously ghee, you want to do more ghee, because the more the ghee, the better your brain health will be. And you want to do those laddus which are made, which has gond. So gond is like that binding element, that because your bones are very weak and because there's a huge cavity inside your body, and that basically it's rebuilding. So for that rebuilding, you need that glue. And that glue is there in that gond. So you want to do gond laddu.
For how long should you eat that?
3 months minimum. And then milk, obviously, you want to have. And you don't want to have anything cold during this time. So you want to have everything which is warm. Even water should be a little warm. Then if you're doing soups, then soups you can have which are warm. But avoid anything which is too cold.
How about the nutrition? What is the nutrition you should continue post-delivery?
So my favorite
my
favorite would be that you do like a prenatal vitamin, which is throughout the pregnancy, and then you do one for post-pregnancy prenatal, which is designed for breastfeeding moms, which has all the micronutrients in it. So you take one tablet of that every single day.
It's like a multivitamin.
But it has the right amount of, because you need more calcium, it has double the amount of calcium in it. You need more iron, it has higher levels of iron in it. It also has more B vitamins for your brain. So all that is taken into consideration in a post-natal vitamin. So you can take that. You can also take an omega-3 supplement, which can really help. And you can also continue with your one probiotic. any probiotic you can take so that you can still passing on that good microbiome to your baby. Keep an eye on your vitamin D levels and B12, very, very important. If the levels are low, then you need to supplement it on top of the multivitamin that you're taking.
Okay. If a mom is struggling with poor milk production, breastfeeding mom, what are the things she must include in her diet to improve the milk production?
So milk production is something which is very tough in the beginning. So in the beginning, you know how you have to, the lactation, you need to, the baby is basically latching for 20 minutes on one side, right? So it's, and then every 2 hours. So 40 minutes in one go, and this is happening every 2 hours. So it can be really, really strenuous for the mother.
Yes.
But within, I think 4 to 5 weeks, it changes very quickly. But the patience is required in the first 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, the key to this is that if the baby is not able to latch,
yes,
then it will not suck. If it does not suck, then it will not produce the milk.
Yeah, it goes as per the demand, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the more the pumping will happen,
yeah,
the more the milk production will take place. So if that is not happening and the baby is not able to latch properly, then just use a breast pump so that you're pumping regularly. The more you're going to pump, the more message the body will get that baby is sucking, so I need to produce more milk. And more milk is going to get produced that way. So instead of waiting for your body to tune in, you need to give the signal to the body by pumping more. So the more you pump, the more milk will get produced.
Yeah.
So that's one very, very important thing. And the second thing is you can, you get on normal pharmacies, you'll get this fennel powder that you get, which is basically a mix of fennel seeds and methi seeds and things like that. You just take 1 spoonful of that, you can add it to your warm milk and drink. That will help in producing more milk.
Yeah.
Again, the third thing will be porridge and warm milk, which actually produces more milk as well for you. So these are the key ones which can really help in more milk production.
All right. What does Ayurveda say about postpartum care?
They're they have a full guideline for that. Okay. And, most of the things that are covered are coming from there because obviously my first baby was without the Ayurvedic care and the second one was with that knowledge. So I can see how my body recovered very quickly with that protocol. Yeah. But things like, taking care of your Vata element in your body, reducing the exposure outside. First 40 days, just try to bond with the baby, less social engagement. So do not sign up for ceremonies and things like that unnecessarily, or, unnecessary too much of engagement where people are just coming in and meeting you. They can meet you after 40 days. Because I remember after my first pregnancy, I saw a lot of people, a lot of friends who were coming. Obviously, they were all excited, happy. Yeah. But that added to my strain a lot because, you are expected to sit with them, talk with them, engage with them. Yeah. So avoid that in the first 40 days. After 40 days, you can start meeting people and being more social. Yeah. Remove the gadget as well. Like try not to be on your gadget because that will again, the radiation and everything will impact your brain, and that you are working on your brain at this point. So avoid too much of gadget exposure that time. There should be more of a time when you're just bonding with the baby, looking after yourself, sleeping. Yeah. And it's like a retreat for you where, you just take care of yourself and you should be your priority and the baby should be your priority, and that's it.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to prioritize yourself, and not many of us kind of understand this.
We give in. Yeah. We give in to the pressures.
And I would also say that the families also need to understand, because there's so much excitement of meeting the baby and seeing the mother and the baby. I think somewhere they just forget that it's it's a phase where they need to be really focused.
It's almost like, if you had a major operation, you need a post-operative care.
Yeah.
And, what kind of care would be there? Like, you would not, you'll be on the bed, you won't be walking that much and till the stitches have recovered and things like that. So similar rules applies to us as well when we are having the babies, because there are stitches and there is recovery that needs in the lower portion of your body. And, you're on top of it, you're trying to, bond with the baby. And you are trying to lactate at the same time. So there are a lot of things to manage at that time, and you want to protect your brain as well. So there's a lot on the plate. So don't bring more things on the plate is what I would say, and get support as much as possible. And all the social engagements can happen after 3 months. True. Everything. You can come back to your normal life, and you can come back like how? if you've taken care of yourself in
and
the
your
3
recovery
months.
will be a lot faster.
100%.
That is so true. We were just talking about this, the different age milestones a woman goes through.
Yes.
Throughout her life, where she notices massive changes in her health and well-being.
Yes.
What are those milestones, and what are the kind of changes you can expect?
So the first milestone is puberty. The second one, like I said, when you have your babies, first 2 babies or 3 babies, every time you will go through that. And then the last one would be menopause or perimenopause. Like, before you menopause, the 3 to 4 years before that, you will see a lot of changes happening in your body. And again, like I said, the brain is going to change. So there will be a structural change in your brain that will happen. So you need a lot of care at that time as well, because the journey is like this. So when you're going through your menopause, you're going through a dip, and then everything then becomes normal in 3 to 4 years. But during that phase, you need to be aware that this is the time when transition is happening. So you need to...
That's the pre-menopause phase.
Yes, pre-menopause phase, which is where you need to take extra care of yourself. And again, look after your brain, look after your body, fitness, your joint health.
What are the signs and changes you need to look out for?
For perimenopause? Just before menopause? So you basically will have, as the menopause will come closer, what happens is that your brain starts to receive 30% less energy. So whatever energy is flowing into your brain right now, 30% of that will be less during menopause. When you're going through that transition.
It's going to get worse. I'm already... So brain fogging, I feel it's real after becoming a mother.
So the brain fog will come. Memory loss is a very normal thing that your cognitive, cognitively, you're not able to learn new things very quickly at that time. Then there is also, you need to take care of your joint health as well, because estrogen, which is now going down, is also protects your bone health as well. So if the estrogen is going down, then you have to make sure that you're eating foods which are rich in phytoestrogens, so that it can support that transition, so that you don't have a weak bone structure post menopause. So you need that. Again, that transition of 3 to 4 years has to be taken care of. You can have a sudden weight gain. It comes from nowhere, and you're like, where is this all weight coming from? That's just because fat cells store a lot of estrogen. So the fat cells go up in number because body is looking for that estrogen. So it basically wants to have more fat around you, so that it can have more fat cells, which fat cells can have more estrogen, which is the way body is trying to give you more estrogen. So it's a natural mechanism that takes place. But does it last,
or you can actually shed that weight?
You can shed that, You can be very careful in how you're eating and how you're sleeping and all that. And that can make sure that you're not putting on that extra weight. But the weight gain will happen.
In terms of your emotions, women at that age, they tend to feel very lonely, very left out. And is it all to do with menopause hormonal changes?
Yes, it is all to do with that. It's all to do with your brain. Your brain is playing tricks with you. The serotonin, the dopamine, all that reduces. Because imagine if your brain is getting 30% less energy, then how it's going to impact how you're thinking overall, your thinking capabilities and how you're perceiving things, how you're getting emotional at things. You're becoming more chidchida, or you have less patience, and you're becoming, or anxiety or depression. All that can kick in sometimes during that phase, and sometimes it can get misdiagnosed as you have a proper depression symptoms and you are on antidepressants, but actually all it is that you're going through a menopausal phase. Right? So if you take care of yourself at that time, protect your brain in the right way, then you probably will sail through that phase, because it is said that once you pass the menopause phase, then woman is actually in the happiest phase of their life. So that's the bright side.
Some silver lining there.
Yes, there is a silver lining there. And a lot of people think that when they're going through the menopause, that's it. यही होगा अब तो लाइफ में, बस यही होगा और ऐसा ही रहेगा हमेशा. ऐसा नहीं होता. Once you go past that stage and you take care of that, then
For
you
how
will...
long does it last?
It depends from people to people, but it can be before. The menopause is basically when you don't get a period for 12 months is when you have menopause. That's a technical definition. So before that is you can have 3 to 4 years of changes before that, and there could be 3-4 years after that. So it can be as long as 8 years, but you can shorten that by taking care of yourself. So you can reduce that. You know,
Yeah.
you can have the
Yeah.
symptoms, but it can only last for a year
True.
before and after.
Okay.
So it really depends
Just
on how, you know,
looking
you're
after your
addressing
body,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do men also go through menopause?
They do as well, but it's not as prominent as in women, because they have a steady supply of testosterone throughout their life. So testosterone is like that. We have estrogen, progesterone, testosterone going up and down every month. Testosterone just goes like that. It's like a very static line almost,
Yeah.
and then it dips, but much later. It's not even in their, women actually go through that much earlier in their lifespan. For men, it's mostly around after 60, post 60, 65.
Let's talk about pelvis health. You know, how your pelvis floor is really affected after giving birth, and what are the
Yes.
ways you can actually take care of it?
Yeah, it's a very, 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 very important question, because like we were talking about how the baby comes out, the placenta comes out, the
Yeah.
amniotic fluid comes out, that lower pelvic floor, which is what we call it, the lower muscles, the vaginal muscles, the uterine muscles, all that, it's almost like becomes very loose. So, you know, you need to pull it back in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, how you want to do like some strength exercises. Exactly that way, you need to strengthen those muscles back. Otherwise, if they're loose and you don't, you know, bring them back, then you can have something like a urinary incontinence, where you just, you know, there's like a urine leakage at any time. Like if you're laughing very loudly
Yeah.
or something, then you can
Yeah.
experience that.
Yeah.
So that is something that needs to be taken care from as quickly as possible. So if, for example, if you had a natural birth, then you can actually start your Kegel exercises just day after as well. You know,
Okay.
so basically, first is obviously the prenatal. You know, if you're going for a
Yeah.
prenatal yoga or any kind of exercises, they will tell you that you should start working on your Kegel exercises. So you need to pull your anal muscles and vaginal muscles up, hold, and then release, and then
Okay.
hold for a few seconds and then release. That action needs to be taken care of, you know, even before you're ready to go into delivery. And then after delivery also, if it's a natural birth, then immediately after second day, you can actually start doing Kegel exercise. While you're lying down, you're sitting, you're breastfeeding, you
As
just
frequently as possible.
As frequently as possible, just keep pulling
Yeah.
up those muscles,
Yeah.
and then releasing them slowly.
Yeah.
And if it is C-section, then obviously you want to, you know, make sure that you're checking with your gynecologist when would be a safe time to then start doing your Kegel exercises.
Yeah.
But like we were talking, that the body is quite fragile at that time.
Yes.
It is moldable as well. So if you pull it up at the right time, you can actually get all your strength back in your pelvic floor
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
easily.
I remember I felt it really getting affected after my second one was born.
Yes.
During the first one, after
It
the first
wasn't bad.
delivery, it was okay. But after the second one, I really felt it, that
Yes.
it is weakening, and,
Yes.
you know, I could
That's
feel
because,
some
you know,
effects.
it's muscles, right?
Yeah.
So the muscles stretch so much. In the first birth, they are still quite elastic, so they come back very quickly. But in the second birth, it becomes a little more difficult for them to come back to the same position.
Yeah.
With the third birth, it will be even more difficult.
Yeah.
So because they're loosening their elasticity and strength. So that's why it becomes very important that you pick up the Kegel exercises as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And again, when we also see with your stomach also, you know, sometimes the stomach comes out and it is not able to go back into the same position
Yes.
after second birth. First birth, it goes in very quickly.
Very quickly, yes.
But the second one, it takes time, because again, you're losing that elasticity.
Yeah.
So if you have, there are some people who have thick abdominal muscles, but there are some people who have very thin muscles. You know, they're you know, even the stomach lining is very thin. So to pull it back, and the elasticity is not that good in them.
Yeah.
So again, Gond Laddu helps with that binding back of that, your system back in place.
Okay.
Gond Laddu can help with that as well.
Yeah.
Because you're binding it back, right? So you're pulling everything back into the same position where they were initially 9 months back. So again, the leakage or the urinary incontinence happens only in the first 2 to 3 months, and after that, it can, if you keep doing your Kegel exercises, then after 6-8 months, it can become normal as well. That is possible.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I also want to know about, I think it's one of the very stressful conditions after giving birth, is the postpartum hair fall
Yes.
and hair thinning.
Yes.
And it can be very stressful.
Yes.
Are there ways to control it or get it all back again?
Some of the hair will definitely fall because all the hair that you've got is because of high progesterone levels, which are there in your body in the 9 months. So when the progesterone tanks, because that's not the natural level of progesterone that you need to have in your body, then some of your hair will definitely fall, and it is normal. So it will all come back in time, as long as you're keeping a track of your nutrition. If you take care of your nutrition and the laddus are happening and the ghee is happening and because your hair health depends on your bone health.
Yeah.
So if your bone health is good, your hair health will be good. So you need to just focus on what is good for my bone health. What is good for your bone health will be vitamin A, D, E, K, magnesium,
Calcium.
and calcium. So if you take care of all these through, the foods that you're taking, sesame seed laddu, for example, if you eat, it has loaded with calcium. So that will help. Gond will help because it binds back the bones.
Yeah.
So if the bone health is good, then you will see that your hair will. So the fall that happens is temporary.
Yes.
But what you get back will depend on how good your nutrition levels are in the 3 months postpartum.
Can there be a permanent loss of hair?
If you don't take care of your nutrition, then it can be, but again, everything is reversible, like I say.
Yeah.
So if your bone density has deteriorated because you went through a tough pregnancy, then work on it for at least 6 to 8 months after that. So work on your bone density by doing more strength training. So build that more bone density, and then also eat the foods which will make your bone more stronger.
Yeah.
So foods which are rich in vitamin A, D, E, K, and magnesium and calcium will build that, and iron as well, will build that bone back as well. So bone density can vary based on your nutritional status.
Good to know. I can finally start working on it.
Yeah.
Because I feel that it is never the same as it was.
As it was. Yeah.
I have that feeling.
But it can change. It can change.
At any age?
It can change at any age. So you can have a good hair health. You can go back to what you had. So
even what I had in my teenage?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah?
You can,
Okay.
definitely.
I feel like there's some damage to my hair follicles or something, and it has never been the same way as it used to be. I don't know, maybe it's just my feeling.
No, I mean, almonds will be your best friend then. You just do soaked almonds every single day. Do 15 to 20 of them every day.
Okay.
It can build your hair back. Yeah.
I'm doing like 7.
Yeah, so do a
Maybe it's
little bit
not
more
enough.
of that.
Yeah.
And then you can do black sesame seeds. And the third thing that will be very good will be a bone broth. If you're vegetarian, non-vegetarian?
Vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Then you want to do more of the vegetables, basically. Vegetable stock that you make out of vegetables. So you, instead of making a bone broth, you make a vegetable stock and you do your soups with that. That will help in remineralizing. It's basically remineralizing your bones. So if you lose those minerals from your bone, the bone will become porous and they will become weak. So you remineralize them. How you remineralize them is to have more minerals, which are good for your bones.
Yeah.
And that can happen through fruits and vegetables and grains and good food, and also strength training. That will bring the bone density back. And anything which is leaching the bones, for example, too much alcohol, tea, coffee, can be avoided, and then that can help as well.
There's a major concern which parents are facing these days, which is the early puberty in children.
Yes, yeah.
And I was in fact reading about it this morning, which said that there are several factors which can lead to early puberty. One being is the diet.
Yeah.
So a lot of junk food and, overconsumption of these outside food and everything. Secondly, it was a very interesting point I came across, which was about the kind of content they're consuming. So if they're watching content which is more teen friendly or adult friendly, then it can also lead to some sort of hormonal changes in their bodies.
Yes.
And thirdly, I think is what can majorly contribute to is the personal care products. So I have read about products which are chemically infused, and certain chemicals can actually lead to hormones disruption.
Yeah.
And that can again lead to early puberty.
Yes. You're absolutely correct.
So how should parents tackle this and prepare themselves and maybe avoid this?
So one is that when you reach a critical BMI, that is when you can hit puberty early. So basically, if your weight is so you will see that girls who are little on the leaner side and they are more sporty, will get the period a little late, and the girls who are little on BMI as compared to other girls, if they're little on the heavier side and they're less physically active, they will hit puberty earlier. So that's a straight off connection, that once you reach a certain BMI, then the tendency of you having a period early will be higher.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is what you talked about with the estrogen disruptors, basically, which mimic estrogen, basically, hair care products and skin products, and anything that you're applying on your skin which has a lot of chemical in it, or you're using a lot of plastic at home, or you are obviously exposed to a lot of pollution, then you actually can absorb a lot of these estrogen mimickers. Basically, they mimic estrogen. They're not estrogen, but they mimic estrogen. So that level then starts to go up in your body, and then body gets a false signal that you have enough estrogen and starts to you hit puberty earlier. That's the second reason. And the third thing, that very interestingly how you raised it, was that what kind of content they're watching. That can happen. If you're thinking like a teenager, right, then it can trigger puberty early as well. So the preteen is a real thing, right? Like like you were saying before we started the podcast, was that when we were 8-year-olds, it was very different than what our girls are experiencing at this age.
A lot to do with exposure.
So I think that is something that we can't control, because they're in school and they're talking to other friends and they're picking up things from there. But nutrition plays a huge role. Minimum 2 hours of physical sport where their heart rate is high every single day is mandatory for girls. Mandatory. So 2 hours actually seems a lot, but it actually is nothing. If you really want to delay that puberty to onset. And the second thing is obviously to keep the environment clean as much as possible, which is in our control. So not use too many aluminum foil to pack their food, use less plastic, more steel ka dabbas if you can pack things in that, and not eat stale food, fresh food. Have at least 3 to 4 fruits every day. Have more fiber in their diet, so that even if they are accumulating that estrogen through plastic, that gets eliminated through their diet, because of the fiber. All that excess estrogen basically binds to the fiber and goes out of the system. So if you have more fiber in your diet, you will not have that problem.
There are a lot of small things which need to be taken care of.
Yes, 100%.
Can have a big impact.
Yes, and again, gadget exposure, like watching too much TV. Not necessarily what content they're watching, but then just the fact that they're watching too much and they're just sitting and mindlessly eating while they're watching all that.
A massive challenge for parents these days, and
so
it's very
that also plays a huge role in why girls are hitting puberty earlier. But another important thing is that once you hit puberty, then if you hit it early, for example, then you have a scope of only 3 inches of height that can go up.
Is that so?
Yeah. So there is only, if you are basically born to parents who are average heighted. I'm not talking about parents who are very tall. Both the side, husband and wife both are quite tall. Then that can be an exception. But if the two parents are average heighted, and then your child actually hits puberty early, then you have only a scope of another 3 inches in your height. So to elongate that, you want to make sure that you don't hit the puberty early.
Should children be given supplements? Because I see a lot of new gummies and these brands getting popular.
Yeah.
Is it normal to give supplements to kids?
Yes, I think they should be given definitely around the puberty age, because they're growing really fast and their calcium requirements are not fulfilled if not getting fulfilled through food, then they definitely need vitamin D support, calcium support, iron iron is absolutely critical for girls once they hit puberty.
Of course.
100%. So those will actually play a major role in how they grow up. So cod liver oil, you remember we used to take that when we were growing up. That was like a normal supplement that works fantastically well because it has ADEK. So instead of taking omega-3, if cod liver oil is given to the kids, that works fantastically well as well.
Is there a right age when you can start giving supplements to
Once
kids?
they start taking it in, because they can't take a pill.
No,
so,
but the gummies are there.
And
they can be, I think they're promoting it as young as babies.
Yes, but gummies, I'll go with a pinch of salt there because the absorption is a little less.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe you can look for some Ayurvedic supplements as well for kids. So like Shank Pushpi is very good. So Shank Pushpi syrup can be taken by kids throughout while they are growing up for very good for their brain health.
All right.
So Shank Pushpi is very good. And then there are some iron syrups that they can take, which are very good. And then there is also some supplements in Ayurveda that they come with gold infusion in it, and gold is supposed to be really good for kids as well. So you can look out for those kind of supplements as well, which come in syrup form, and they can be those can be given as well.
Yeah, I remember there are similar supplements which are given for women as well, post-delivery, postpartum from Ayurveda.
Yes.
Which ones are those?
So Shank Pushpi is another one which is given.
Yeah.
Then there is Shatavari Gulam, which is also given to women, which basically helps with postpartum recovery as well, and also better milk production as well. So Shatavari Gulam is very good, which is given. And then the basic herbal teas are given basically.
There's also something called Ashokarishth or something.
Yes, that's also very good. Yeah, Ashokarishth. Yeah, that's also very good as well.
I think it's good for your postpartum cleansing.
Yes. So that's also very good.
So according to a recent research I was just going through, it says that 4.9% pregnancies in India end up in miscarriages, which is of course a very unfortunate phase a woman has to go through.
Yeah.
What I also understood that even though you end up in miscarriage, your body is still going through the entire postpartum phase, right?
Yeah.
The hormones are still going through the same cycle, and you need to give that kind of time to your body to recover. So how a woman can navigate through that?
So miscarriages in the first 12 weeks are actually, the percentage is much higher. Like a lot of people don't talk about it because it happens very quickly, and within 8 weeks, 7 weeks, if you have miscarried, then it's not even counted as in the data as well. So that's around 30%. So 1 in 3 pregnancies can end up being converted into a miscarriage just because body's natural ability to discard an embryo which it thinks is not of a good quality. So that's absolutely normal, and one should not feel too distressed about it, because miscarriage is like a big thing and it comes as a huge shock. But actually it's more common that we think that it is. 1 in 3 pregnancies, like 30% pregnancies are in first 8 weeks are converting into a miscarriage. That's a big number.
That's a big number indeed.
But most women do not have the knowledge that it's so common. So you feel like I've done something wrong, or I ate something wrong, or I did too much of physical activity.
Could I have
maybe
prevented it?
I could have prevented it. I could have done this. I could have done that, and they go into this negative mindset because of that. So first of all, one should remember that it's more common than we think it is. So one should take it as like a natural process of the body, that if the body feels like this is not the right thing to carry on, then it will discard it automatically on its own. It has its intelligence. Now, the other thing is, obviously, once you cross the 12-week milestone of 3 months, and then you have obviously made it public and everybody knows that. That's why they tell that not to tell before 12 weeks, because it's a very critical phase and it can go any which way.
Yeah.
But once 12 weeks are over, then we tend to tell our friends and other people. And then after that, if something goes wrong, then that can become a big issue.
Yes.
Because it can take a mental toll on you in a big way, because it's very unfortunate and nobody is seeing it this way, that it will happen this way. And that percentage is small, of course. That doesn't happen to everyone. But once the 12-week milestone is crossed, and maybe you are like have to go because of unfortunate situation, you have to go for an abortion, or you go through your a miscarriage on your own, then one has to bear in mind that body is already prepped for a full-fledged pregnancy.
Yes.
So it's almost like a postpartum recovery that you have to go through. So you once you have medically terminated the baby, then you need to assign yourself some recovery time.
Yes.
So at least a month of good recovery, where you're taking care of your body. You're not like, you're making sure your nutrition levels are good. You're making sure your hormone profile and your is coming back. It'll take at least 6 to 8 weeks for the body to come back to normal. state. And then after that, you give another 3 months before you plan to conceive again. So give yourself a little break in between. Do not rush into the next pregnancy before you have recovered. That is very, very important. And the second thing is make sure that you're, if you are, maybe your vitamin D levels have gone down, or B12 levels have gone down, or there is excessive bleeding, your iron levels are low. Make sure that you're taking supplementation for all that, and you're coming back to a regular sort of levels before you start planning for the next baby. But it is something which has to be taken more seriously than we tend to take. It's not like a medical procedure that you just went through and you move on.
You're out of it. No, indeed.
It's not like that.
Your body still needs time to come back
to recover.
Normal.
Yes.
So Pooja, you have shared so much about your postpartum journey with us, and so many insights we have gotten from this. But if you were given a chance to do it all over again, what changes would you make? Or what would you do differently?
With the second one, I kind of, with the first one, I made a lot of mistakes. With the second one, I kind of incorporated most of the changes that I wanted to make. But apart from that, I think what I could have done right would be, I think I did everything. I did yoga, I did my prenatal, I did my Kegel exercises, I did my supplementation was on point. Then I made my child my priority, and I did not engage too much socially. I had a japa, so full-time care was there. I made sure that I was breastfeeding, because with my first child, I did not fully breastfeed. It was basically a combination of formula milk and this one. But with the second one, even when I was struggling, I powered through it. I was like, no, I know this is going to work. So in the long run, basically, it kind of was in place. And then I, because it was a C-section for first 3 months, I did not do any exercise. Then slowly build it up from 3 to 6 months. And after 6 months, I did like a full-fledged gym and lost the weight that I had accumulated over a period of time. But I breastfed the baby for 1 year. So I think because by this time I had already gotten into women health, and I had already, been into nutrition and stuff like that. So I had the knowledge. So I did my second one in a much, much better way as compared to the first one.
I think first one is like so many unknowns here, be it your nutrition, the sleep cycle, be it your body, the changes, the hormones.
And the social engagement bit as well. Because I was putting more pressure on myself that I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to meet people, I need to get people in to see the baby. But with the second one, I was like, I can wait. I can wait for 3 months. There's no hurry. They can come later. And I put myself as a priority. And also with the second one, I also did not have very high expectations from my husband. With the first one I had. With the second one, because he was taking care of my elder one. With the second one. So that was his department. And this second project was my department. So we kind of, I think we both had come to, this understanding that how we would want to do it. And he was the one who kept stressing that we need a japa, because I want you to sleep, because I know how it took a toll on you, which we did not know in the beginning, with the first one. So we knew how to, plan it properly. And what were my priorities? I was very clear. I was clear that my priority was my health and my baby's health, and rest everything can wait. Because everything else will just fall in place or automatically on its own when it has to happen.
As they say, only a happy and a healthy mom can raise a happy and a healthy baby, right?
Absolutely.
So it's very crucial. But moving on to the next one. So we have community Q&A where we have a question from one of our listeners or followers. And today we have received a question from Shraddha. And the question we have is, if you could change one cultural expectation around postpartum recovery that you believe does more harm than good, what would it be?
Rushing to see the baby in the hospital, and even if before they're discharged from the hospital, everybody wants to come and see the baby. Or doing these ceremonies which involves a lot of people in the before 40 days. I think that can go. I think we can wait for 40 days and we can change it a little bit. I think the chatti, I think the 6th day is there's this major ceremony, right?
Okay.
Which takes place in most of the cultures.
Okay.
I think that can wait because 6th day is you're still quite into the,
it's
you know,
too
you're not,
early.
yeah, it's too early, but you're really struggling with lactation at that time.
Yes.
Right? So I think that can be postponed a little bit. And I think mother-in-laws and parents are more understanding now. So they can understand that if you tell them,
yes,
Mama, can I have this a little later because I'm not ready right now, then I'm sure they will accommodate that.
Yeah. No, it's very important to give that kind of time and
absolutely
rest to both mother
and
baby.
you would know when you're ready. Your body will tell you when you're ready for that.
Yeah.
And once you get the cue from the body that now I'm happy and I'm happy to engage and meet more people, then you can do that.
So be in tune with your body, listen to it, and then follow your path.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing all the insights with us. And now moving on to the next segment, which we call the rapid fire round. Today's game, it's kind of a rapid fire. We call it Wellness Whirlwind.
Okay.
And I'm going to be asking you about 10 quick questions and would love your first thoughts. Think of it as a little nugget of wisdom for our listeners.
Okay.
So yeah, shall we begin?
Sure.
One food every new mom should include in her diet daily.
Buttermilk every day, chach, as a probiotic.
I'm going to do that too. Even though I'm not a new mom, but
yeah,
yes.
you should. Everyone should. Yeah.
Most underrated self-care ritual for postpartum recovery?
Massage. And hair massage and body massage every single day.
For how long?
40 days minimum.
40 days. If you had to pick only one, nutrition or exercise, for postpartum healing, which one wins?
Kegel exercises.
Right.
Absolutely critical.
Best quick fix for low energy on a tough day? Even I want to know that.
So basically, when you're feeling low on energy, that means you're low on minerals. So you want to reach out to a coconut water or a shikanji or an electrolyte, which has the sodium and magnesium and potassium.
Yeah.
That'll just pick you up very quickly.
All right. Go-to herbal tea or supplement for calming hormones?
CCFT, cumin, coriander, fennel tea seed. Tea, the cumin, coriander, fennel seeds ka tea, basically. So what you do is you take one spoon of that and then you take 2 cups of water,
yeah,
and boil it till the 2 cups become 1 cup. Then you strain it and you drink that.
So it's called
F. Tea.
Tea.
Yeah, it's a tea. It's a tea.
CCFT. Okay.
Like chai. Yeah, CCFT.
Interesting. And how many times in a day you should consume?
You can
it?
sip it through the whole day. Like
All
you
right.
can't go wrong with the CCFT. It's
All
like
right.
the best antidote to everything. You know, it's for good digestion, for bloating, for hormonal issues, for
Yeah.
or PMS, any kind of gastric issues, or for hydration. Perfect.
Great. Perfect. It's like a superfood in itself.
Absolutely. Hidden gem.
One small habit that can make a big difference in managing postpartum stress.
Sleep. Prioritize your sleep, because I feel that 60% of your postpartum depression comes from lack of sleep. So sleep it out. 8 hours of minimum, and everybody around you, your family should know that the sleep is going to be your priority.
Yeah.
At the cost of childcare. Even the baby has to be taken care of by someone, but the mother needs 8 hours sleep for 100%.
Your favorite feel-good snack for new moms?
Makhana.
Oh,
Yeah. Coconut in all forms.
Yeah. Even the children
Or
like
chana
it.
and gur.
Okay.
Very good.
One piece of advice you wish you had received before becoming a mother?
That how much ever you are prepared for it, it'll come. You will be unprepared when it comes. You don't know what's coming.
Unique.
Yeah, everybody's experience will be unique.
Yeah.
You can educate yourself, but then a little bit of, like I said, surrender is needed. That you just go with the flow, and if it is tough, face it. If it is easy, just go with the flow.
Embrace it.
Yeah, and just embrace it. Yeah, and it'll all pass.
True. Most common mistake new moms make when it comes to their health?
Weight loss is their main thing, and hair fall are the 2 main things that they're focusing on. So take the focus away from there. bring the focus back on your brain health and your bone health.
Yeah.
Brain and bone, that's the two things that you should be thinking about. If bone is taken care of, then hair will be taken care of. If brain is taken care of, then you're good to go. And then weight loss will happen eventually over a period of time anyway.
Yeah. I think we had such a beautiful conversation, and it was filled with so many important takeaways. Is there one piece of advice you would want to give out to moms, new moms or expecting moms, which you think is very crucial?
I think obviously education is important. Like educate yourself, understand. You have lactation experts now, you have sleep experts now, you have prenatal experts now who can teach you what will happen during labor. So try to take as many classes as possible. And the second thing is that don't go with a negative mindset, because again, when we talk about all this, people think, oh my God, this looks very difficult and this looks like this and this looks like that. It's a beautiful journey.
True.
You would be able to tell that how rewarding it is to be a mom.
I think it's
so
the best
signing
feeling.
up for it, not signing up for it just because they think that is going to be very difficult is not the thing. Just educate yourself, prepare yourself.
True.
And this can be a very smooth journey for your child and for yourself. And you can really, really enjoy your motherhood in a big way.
Absolutely. And as you said, just go with the flow and embrace it.
Yes, absolutely.
Pooja, thank you so much for being here today and joining me on this platform of Maatehood.
Thank you so much.
Such a amazing conversation, to be honest, and something I thoroughly enjoyed talking about, because this is something we all have gone through, and still there are so many unknowns, and it's good to share it with the ones who are now going to start that phase of their lives.
Absolutely. And thank you. I mean, it felt like a conversation between two friends because, sharing notes.
I'm glad
so it was
you enjoyed
great.
it.
It was fantastic. Thank you.
So to thank you for being here today, I just have a little hamper for you from Maate.
Thank you so much.
And it's all Ayurveda inspired and natural.
Perfect.
So I hope you're going to enjoy it.